Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. It's good to see you all. It's what is it? The fifth day of the International Women of Blockchain event, and I'm happy to be here. There's just a slight change in schedule today. We were supposed to bring you our marketing and PR, but unfortunately, the speaker is not available today. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go and rehash some of the things that we heard. I've heard from a lot of you, and we're happy to know that there's people that are watching that are new to this space. So one thing that I've heard repeatedly is the fact that a lot of people are interested in learning the terminology. And when we travel through this space, we tend to use acronyms a lot. And so I want to make sure that you guys walk away with accurate information. And that way you're able to understand and participate in what we're doing in the ecosystem that we're building. So the first thing that I want to break down is the technology. So blockchain is a decentralized ledger technology. It's also distributed. And what that really means is that there are a series of nodes, and nodes are computers in a network. And these nodes, they all maintain data. They all share the same type of data within the nodes. They all timestamp it and record it in their system. And essentially, if this particular if one node or computer goes offline, all the nodes can continue working. So blockchain consists of several different computers that are working in conjunction with each other to come to a consensus about the data that they are recording. Essentially, blockchain is a distributed ledger technology. Ledger, I like to give an example about people having like the back of a checkbook. The back of a checkbook, you're able to keep track of movements of money coming in and out of your bank account, right? First, you start off with an accurate snapshot of what's in your bank account. Then the series of line, you can bring in money, input money, take out money, subtract money, add money, etc., all the way until you get the final line, which will have an accurate representation of the money in your account. Well, that's essentially what blockchain is doing with the data. It's giving us an accurate tracking of all of the data that we're interacting or transmitting from point A to point B, or from ourself, our wallet, to our friends. The components of this technology that makes it very valuable are several different things. It's a distributed ledger technology, meaning that anyone within the world can have access to see that transaction happening. It is a ledger that's visible to everyone. If you have the correct website, you're able to go ahead and track anyone's ledger based on their wallet address, which is their public address. If you know someone's public address, and let's say they're on a particular blockchain, because there are several different blockchains out there. If they are on a particular blockchain, you'll be able to see it. And for instance, we have for Ethereum, which is a blockchain that's built on smart contracts. For Ethereum, you will be able to go to Etherscan, and Etherscan will allow you to be able to view various wallet transactions. And that's the transparency that's built within this technology. The other thing about this technology is that it's built with cryptography. And cryptography allows you to have the ability to secure the data when it's in transit. Cryptography allows a series of hashes to encode that data so that it can secure the data when it's in transit before it hits its destination. So we have that security component that's attached to the technology. The security component makes it immutable. It makes it unable to be penetrated. No one can come in and manipulate that data. No one can destroy the data before it hits its destination, which is the beauty about the technology, because it is viable for so many different things when it comes to personally identifiable information, when it comes to things that we think are pertinent and important to all of us. With the cryptography, what essentially happens is that there's a series of two keys. There's a private key, which I will talk about a little bit more in detail when it comes to your wallet. But when it comes to the encryption aspect, the private key encrypts the data so that it won't be penetrated when it's in transit. And the public key decrypts the data when it hits its destination so that the recipient is able to receive the information. The public and private key also comes into play when it comes to your wallet. In order for you to receive and transmit data, you need to have a wallet. And there are several different wallets out there that you can download onto your computer. Some people download them onto their phone in order to have access to it. And then there's also a hardware wallet where it's kind of like a USB device, and you can take it anywhere and it's detached from the internet. But typically, a lot of people, when they come into the space, they are introduced to a hot wallet, which is a wallet, a crypto wallet that's attached to the internet, either through your exchange when you first come on board and you're purchasing a cryptocurrency. The exchanges will provide you with a wallet, and that wallet is attached to that exchange. You cannot take it anywhere else, but it's attached to this exchange. You then have the ability to take your money out of the exchange and put it somewhere else, into another wallet that you've created personally somewhere else. Now, going back to the blockchain technology, what happens is that because of the cryptography, we're now able to create a safe, so to speak, to keep the data or the assets that you're building into it, and you could personally own it. So that cryptography, the private key, allows you to establish a wallet for yourself. And that private key essentially is your house key. That house key is a series of seed phrases. Sometimes they're 12 all the way up to 26 words. There's no rhyme or reasons to these words when you establish your wallet, but they're very important for you to keep, because these words are built in a way that will allow you to have ownership of your wallet. And having ownership of your wallet is very important. Just like your key, your house key allows you to have ownership of that residence. And that's very important. You don't share your private key nor your house key with just anyone. You want to make sure that you trust the individual, because that essentially opens the key or the gate to your wallet. And that information you want to keep secure. So your seed phrases, sometimes they are, in some regards, they could be a series of characters and numbers that are 15 plus long. And you want to make sure that you know the difference between a private and a public key. Because oftentimes a lot of people, they get scammed because they're giving away the wrong sets of keys. So once again, your private key are a series of seed phrases or 15 character long or plus series of numbers and characters that you receive when you initially establish your wallets. That information you want to keep secure. You want to keep at a location where only you, or maybe a trusted family member or an individual, can have access to, because that information allows you to have access to the vault that's keeping your asset. And one thing that we say in this space is that if it's not your keys, which means your private key, then it's not your cheese. And that just means that it's not your assets. So if it's not your keys, it's not your assets. So if you give away that private key to someone else, guess what? Now that third party has the ability to access your assets, and you want to keep that private key secure. Now, there's the other key, which is the public key. And the public key is like your home address. You're advertising it to individuals that are about to provide you with information or with data. And it's kind of like, you want to advertise to a store that you're purchasing an item for, where to send that item, right? And also advertise to the mailman where to mail your mail. So by providing your public key, you're giving someone direction as to where they should send the cryptocurrencies that you've purchased or that you acquired, or the NFTs that you've purchased. So that public key is essentially your address, your public address that you provide to individuals so that they can locate where the location of your wallet is. So those two in conjunction makes your wallet secure. Once again, your private key is the key that you store and you keep safe to yourself. And your public key is like your home address, is the key that allows you to be able to tell individuals where to send the data or your assets, your cryptocurrencies, your NFTs, etc. Now, someone recently mentioned that, in that whole house analogy, you have the private key, that's the key that unlocks the door. You have the public key, which is the key that identifies the house that's yours. And then you have Windows, which is the ledger. So the ledger allows us to see that transaction. So for instance, if I was to send you as the viewer money, and I knew your public key address, and I knew your wallet address, which is the public key address, and I'm sending you money. So what essentially happens is that in this ledger, you will see that my public key address sends a certain amount of money or a certain amount or certain assets to you and your address. And then we'll be able to track that movement from point A to point B because of the transparency of the ledger. And that's the beauty about it. Now, I mentioned that, we have key addresses, and essentially in this space, we stop being individuals and we start being series of numbers. And that's where the pseudo anonymity comes into play. We eliminate the identification of an individual and we replace it with a series of numbers to allow us to transact and interact with each other. So now I'm not Yinka anymore. I'm now a series of numbers that identifies my wallet address. And because of that pseudo anonymity, we're able to interact in ways that we historically have not been able to interact with. We're able to interact with people all over the globe without the barriers that oftentimes plagues us in our physical world. So in this situation, no one will be able to identify that I'm a woman. No one will be able to identify that I'm a Black woman, but they will be able to know that I am participating in this space because of my wallet address. And with that wallet address, I'm able to interact with people all across the globe and all across the different aspects of the blockchain technology. So with blockchain, we have transparency. We have a ledger that allows us to interact peer-to-peer without a middleman. So we're dealing with the decentralized aspect of the space. And decentralization just means that we're eliminating the middleman. We're eliminating a central entity or central control from anyone and interacting in a space where everyone gets to have input. Everyone gets to communicate. Everyone gets to do transactions without any barriers. And that's actually perfect. That's the type of world, that's the utopia that we actually want to live in. And so with that, we also have the security of the technology. This technology allows us to interact in ways that historically we have not been able to interact with. It allows us to create cryptocurrencies that we know now. The first cryptocurrency was Bitcoin. And the story goes that Satoshi Nakamoto wanted to start a digital currency. However, he was always plagued with the same thing that other people who historically have attempted to create a digital currency, which was this thing called double spending. And double spending essentially is a way that that it was an accurate representation of mathematics. It was an inaccurate representation of mathematics, I should say. And so double spending happens in a way that if I was to have $10 in my wallet and I wanted to send you, let's say $5, and I need to show that it's coming from my possession and it's going to your possession. Well, historically, with digital currencies, with the amounts of digital currencies that were created before Bitcoin, what essentially happens is that even though I have $10, which is sufficient enough for me to make that transfer, what happens is that the money does go from it does end up in that your wallet, but however, there's no trace that says it's coming from my wallet. And at the same time, there was no way for us to actually say it came from me because there was no mathematical subtraction or computational power, computational mathematics going on, for lack of better words. So we weren't able to see that that $5 was subtracted from my $10, and it was sent directly from my possession to your wallet. And that was always an issue with a lot of digital currencies. It wasn't until blockchain, which has been around since 1990s, came into play, and Satoshi said, you know what? I'm going to look at this particular technology and see how I can implement it into the concept of this digital currency that he was creating, which now we now know as Bitcoin. So by using blockchain, Satoshi was able to solve that issue of double spending. And so what ended up happening is that from my account, we were able to actually show that $5 was subtracted from my $10. And it was sent, because we traced that it was sent to your wallet, and that you have $5 now remaining in your wallet. Remember, I said blockchain was a series of nodes that were recording and timestamping the information, the data. And what they end up doing is going through a consensus to make sure that data is accurate. So in this play, that in this scenario that Satoshi was able to create, the computers were actually recording the fact that I had $10 or Satoshi had $10 in his wallet, and that in order for that money to be sent or distributed out of his wallet, he needs to have that accurate first initial balance. So they all agree, so all the nodes or all the computers agree. And then what ends up happening is that the instruction was that take $5 from that $10. All the computers agree that that could happen. And then they were instructed to send it to a new wallet address. And what ended up happening was that all the computers then agreed to send it to a new wallet address. They came to a consensus and sent it to that new wallet address. That new wallet address now becomes a block next to the initial block that had $10 in it. So now that new wallet address is recorded for that, it's recorded on the blockchain. And then it's also recorded that $5 came from my wallet, and now it's in that new wallet, and that the beginning balance of that new wallet is now $5, which initially came from me. And that with recording that information, now the nodes all have that information. And now if Satoshi wanted to or request his friend to send $5 back to him, all of the computers will then go through a consensus and make sure that there is $5 that could be sent from that new wallet back to Satoshi. And they will show that there's an accurate representation of $5 in that wallet, and that can be sent back to Satoshi. Now, if there was a request to send $10 from that new wallet, remember there's $5 in it, all the computers will try to come to a consensus. And if they can't, they will reject that transaction request. So in that $5, if we're trying to send $10, all of the computers will try to come to a consensus. They will see that there's only $5 and that there's no way of sending $10 back to Satoshi. So what will end up happening is that there will be a rejection. There will not be a consensus. And that was the beauty of the blockchain, the ability to create, and I guess an accurate a ledger, well, not I guess, but an accurate ledger or mathematical ability to transact in a way that allows us to keep accurate representation of that movement of money or that movement of data. And that was what blockchain really solved and allowed us to experience Bitcoin. And so with that said, blockchain has various use cases as well. The ability to create provenance. Now, When an individual is able to create provenance, it just means that they're timestamped as the creator, and also it has the date and the time that particular data or assets was created. And so a lot of people are using blockchain for NFTs, which are non-fungible tokens. Um, Cryptocurrencies are fungible because you can exchange one for the other. NFTs are not fungible because you can't exchange one NFT for another. Even though they may have the same value, equivalency, they're not the same. So an NFT is non-fungible tokens, which essentially is a way for you to mint a digital artwork onto the blockchain. And by doing that, it creates a receipt provenance that basically shows that you are the creator of this digital artwork or NFT that's been minted onto the blockchain. It date stamps it and timestamp it. So now you have this provenance that you've created that basically says you are the creator. This is the time that it was created, and this is the date that it was created. With that information, you're now able to sell the digital data onto on a marketplace. And there's various marketplaces out there that you will soon get to start to know. All of them have different use cases or values attached to them. Some of them are better than others, but when you're navigating through this space, you will start to get to know a lot of them. And then some of them are only tied to certain chains, and others are trying to be interoperable. There's different chains, blockchains out there, and you'll get to know a lot of them throughout this event. But right now, for an NFT, you're able to sell it on a marketplace or place it on a marketplace. When you place an NFT on a marketplace, you're able to attach a value when you want to sell it. And so the value really is the creator's value that they feel like it's worth, right? So there's no set value for an NFT. The other great thing about placing your NFTs on a marketplace, non-fungible tokens on a marketplace, is that you can attach royalties. And royalties is basically creating residuals from the NFT once it's sold, right? And so the royalty, depending on which platform, can be 10% or more. And by attaching that royalties, a lot of people are able to generate passive income. So when you place your NFTs on a marketplace, what essentially happens is that you're now marketing to others that this NFT is available for purchase. And what ends up happening or may happen is really that a third party may come along and decide that they want to purchase your NFTs. When they purchase the NFTs, an exchange happens. So they will pay you in cryptocurrency, whatever value you have attached to that NFT. And then you, based on the smart contract, will then provide them with that NFT. And so you will have a digital exchange that happens. You will then receive money in your wallet, and that individual will receive the NFT in their wallet. And because it's on the blockchain, you're able to trace that transaction. And when that happens, now that NFT does not mean that this third party or the primary buyer owns that or it created that NFT. It just means that it's in their possession. So now they own that NFT, but they did not create it. Because it was minted onto the blockchain, we have that digital record that basically says that you are the creator of that NFT. With that digital record, that NFT is forever tied to you, even though it's in somebody else's possession. Now that the primary buyer has the NFT in their possession, they have the ability to go ahead and sell it. And when they sell it, they can sell it for whatever value that they feel it's deemed. So they can sell it for higher than the amount that they purchased it from you. That way they can make proceeds out of it. And so when they sell it and a secondary buyer comes along and purchases it, what ends up happening is that once again, there's a trigger. That ledger will then record that that primary buyer has sold the NFT, which is tied to you because you are the creator. And now it's in the possession of a secondary buyer, and that secondary buyer uh, did a transaction, a digital transaction with the primary buyer. And so now the primary buyer has the equivalent of the value of that NFT. So they have some form of cryptocurrencies in their wallet now because they've sold that NFT to the secondary buyer. Because it's on the ledger, we can also see that transaction as well. What the other thing that happens is that now there's a trigger because there was a sale and you've attached royalties to that NFT. What ends up happening is that during that sale, that secondary buyer purchasing that NFT, you are now provided with a, um, a residual royalties. You're now receiving royalties depending on the percentage that you attach to it. So let's say you attach 10%. You're now receiving 10% of that proceeds that's going to come to you and stay in your wallet. This happens indefinitely, so long as the NFT continues to be sold. So now people are able to create generational income that's attached to that one particular NFTs. And so now I'm sure all of you have heard of NFTs that have sold for millions of dollars and et cetera, and all these, big hoopla about some of these PFP NFTs or profile NFTs uh, like the apes and the monkeys and the pixelated CryptoPunks out there, as well as other NFTs that have sold for high value. So those particular NFTs, the creators of those NFTs will indefinitely, if they have royalties attached to it, they will be receiving some kind of royalties from that particular NFTs, so long as those NFTs are sold. Now, if royalties are not attached to it, then there's no residual income that's coming to the creator. So that's what NFTs really is providing, is more than just a JPEG. It's the ability to be able to mint your digital work onto the blockchain, attach a value to it, create residual income or passive income from it, and be able to, create generational wealth from it for a lot of people. So we have a lot of artists that are in this space that actually are utilizing NFTs to be able to create income. And it's been successful for a lot of these artists. And there's so many different things could be created into an NFT. A lot of people are using NFTs to showcase their music. And we're going to actually have a performer that's going to brace us on live stream and show us what she's doing with her NFT. And other people are using NFTs as ways to market their service. So we have individuals that are, business owners that are looking for ways to tap into the space and make their product relevant and consistently be scaling. And so they're using NFTs to provide promotional or marketing discounts to subscribers or to individuals or to customers or potential customers. And so it's a way for individuals to be able to tap into the space and also to scale their business as well. We have Nike, we have Adidas, we have various other huge companies that have jumped into the NFT space, and they're also using it as a way to tap into this space and also create marketing buzz for their product. NFTs could also be created as wearables where individuals in the metaverse can purchase an NFT, take it to the metaverse, and be able to wear it as an outfit for their character or avatar. And other people are using NFTs as a way to create, other accessories or items for their metaverse world. So NFTs has various values attached to it. There's various use cases that NFTs that are being created all over the globe. And then another use case of blockchain is decentralized autonomous organization, better known as DAOs. DAOs are a simpler form of explaining what DAOs are is co-ops. Everybody know what a co-op is. A co-op is a community coming together with the ability to govern and move in unison for an intended purpose, right? So oftentimes co-ops, they all live in the same building. They all want to upkeep their building, and they all want this building to be functional for a particular governance that they've established for that particular residency. And they're all moving the same way. When an outsider wants to come into a co-op, they have to sign a series of, governance regulation in order to, or rules in order to abide by it. But then, as an individual that's coming in, you also have equal voting rights with other individuals in the co-op. So if they wanted to start a garden, everybody has to vote, and basically the majority will be able to dictate what happens depending on what the governance structure is for that co-op. And so DAOs are similar. DAOs, they do not have a central entity that's control. Well, the intentions of DAOs is to not have a central entity that's controlling it. Everything is really relying on that blockchain programmable contract. Contracts, we have several different blockchains that have smart contract, what we call smart contracts. And smart contracts are essentially code languages or coding programs that basically have a series of triggers, for lack of better words. So like it's a if-then condition. So if the people within this co-op agreed on certain metrics, then this will happen. And that's essentially what's being created with these smart contracts. So when people vote to have that garden, so if a vote for the garden is a yes, then the money will be allocated, or proceeds will be allocated towards creating that garden. So situations like that are built into the contract, into the smart contract, and then it's allowing this DAO to act in a way where it's decentralized and everyone has an equal voting right, or certain degrees of voting rights depending on how the DAO is structured, and they're all moving in unison towards the same goal. And so there's been several different DAOs that have been created out there, and people are participating in that in order to for an intended agenda. One of the most famous DAOs is the Constitutional DAO that I'm sure many of you heard, and it was made popular during a time where a copy of the Constitution came up as an auction item. And several people wanted to own the DAO. And so there was this buzz and frenzy that went throughout the world that we the people now have the ability to own the Constitution. Now, when the Constitution was written, there were several different copies that were distributed amongst the forefathers. And those different copies, that's not the main copy in the Capitol, but those different copies were now passed down through lineage, and sometimes they were purchased or given away, etc. So oftentimes they end up with a family member, or they end up secured in a vault. It just so happened that this particular one came up in a very famous auction about around fall of last year. With this DAO, a lot of people wanted to tap in and get involved and be able to say that they own the Constitution. So the DAO was created with the intended purpose of owning the Constitution. So a lot of people paid money to be part of the DAO, or the group or the community within the DAO that could then say that they own a piece of the Constitution. And so they collected around $40 million from people all across the globe. Some people putting in as little as $10, other putting a lot of money in. And the way that it was structured was that, with the intended purpose, everyone was going to have I guess the ability to say that they own a piece of the Constitution. Unfortunately, it did not happen. They were outbidded, and it did not come to fruition. But however, that was an idea of what a DAO can do. DAOs right now, in my opinion, they're still new, right? Because it requires people to establish the DAO. It still has that central entity tied to it. It's not automatically decentralized from the beginning. And so centralization really means that everything is up to the technology. There's and the smart contracts. So in order for us to get there, we still have some work to do. There's also decentralized finance, or DeFi, which a lot of people do talk about. And DeFi is another way of creating passive income. So DeFi allows you to participate in various financial products or services in this space. And so historically, when certain people were kept out of the ability to participate in financial services, financial products, etc., or they were given certain restrictions or certain high interest rates. Now in this space, because we're all pseudo anonymous, there's no way of implementing those type of restrictions. And so now everyone is able to participate. So we have decentralized ways of lending, of participating in staking, which is a way for you to put your money up as invest your money, and then you will get some kind of income or interest rates back. So you will stake your money with a particular project or platform, and then they will give you a certain percentage for staking your money or keeping your money with that platform or project. And they will give you a certain percentage back. And then you can always choose to stop staking your money with them and take all your money plus the percentage that you've earned during that time frame that you staked it with them. There's other ways. There's ability to receive dividends as well in decentralized finance. There's ways of insurance. There's insurance products out here in the decentralized finance space. So it's essentially everything that historically we had in the financial industry, but because it's decentralized, there's no one that's really controlling it. So therefore, there's no restrictions. It's allowing everyone to participate if they want to participate. So that's those type of vehicles are out there as well. And those are just some of the things that the technology has created and brought to us. There's other things that people are currently creating. And we're looking forward to a lot more use cases from this technology. I do know we spoke about this about 2 days ago when we talk about privatized blockchain, where corporations are actually looking at blockchain. IBM historically has always been utilizing blockchain. They have their own blockchain, Hedera, that they've created. It's both used in the private sector as well as the public sector as well. And then, there's corporations like we talk about Amazon as well. They have their own blockchain. There's different corporations that have blockchain trademarks. I would say back in 2017, 2018, a lot of us in this space realized that financial institutions have numerous amount of blockchain related trademarks that they've put out there. And so blockchain as a technology itself is a viable technology that a lot of people are looking at implementing. And sometimes they're already implementing it, it's just not publicized. So with that said, we're going to go to intermission and then we'll be right back. We'll be 5 minutes intermission and then we'll be right back. All right. Thank you very much for coming back. Hopefully, you guys were dancing during the intermission. I know I was. I love that song, and it's going to be our whole song. So, all right, let's go ahead and have a discussion I brought Sam up. Sam, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good, Ginka. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. So
Excellent.
yeah, so a lot of people ask, when they first come onto this whole space, um, they hear about the use cases, but then when it comes to the technology, it's all about, what the hell is it, right?
Right. Definitely all about that. I know
Yeah.
personally, I was the same way. I was very much the same way. I came through Bitcoin, understanding there's like this buzz around the cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin and ETH and all these things. And so me being the person I am, I came for I like I say I came for the Bitcoin. I stayed for the blockchain. Right. So really understanding the technology. But yeah, it definitely always comes from a conversation of like, first you get into it in some way where I think the average person like myself who's not a techie person, you get into it for some way, but then if you just kind of keep going down this proverbial rabbit hole, you eventually want to know what the hell is blockchain. Because it just comes with part of the learning, I feel like, about the whole entire space. So you're absolutely correct. I agree with that.
Yeah, yeah. I've always felt that once people understand the technology and what we're trying to create here, then you definitely understand the different type of use cases, right?
Absolutely.
And giving that this whole space um, was really a way beyond the vision that Satoshi Nakamoto had. Like we basically took what he created to a whole new level, right?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and all of that couldn't really be possible without blockchain. And blockchain have been around since the 90s. I'm amazed myself by the amount of things that we have created so far with this technology, and looking forward to what's going to be created in the future.
I
Um,
agree. I agree. Like I think that there is so much left to be discovered with the technology. Once I realized, so once I kind of understood, like the core basis of Bitcoin, and then understood how the blockchain related to Bitcoin, and then begin to go down and say, okay, if it did this for Bitcoin, what else is there out there? And then I realized that this technology and people they're developing this technology, they're developing in spaces of social justices. They're developing space in the space of neuroscience. Like people are using this to be a part of the metaverse and like teach other people. I've heard there's doctors that are attempting to utilize the technology to be able to teach remotely, things difficult, brain surgery, right? That we would have never been able to do prior to the blockchain and prior to the spaces that are being built on the blockchain. So it's amazing to know that this is literally, I've been telling people, who anybody that listen to me, I tell them, listen, this is going to be the internet, the new internet of the world. The way that the internet came in, right? We went from, let's just say computers, right? So we started with a computer that took up 2 rooms just to make a mathematical calculation, right?
mhm.
All the way to now we hold the internet in our pockets everywhere we go, right? And so think of the development of how that went, and then knowing that this same blockchain technology is about to literally touch basically every industry that the internet touches, which you cannot find an industry that doesn't touch the internet. There is just so much left to still be discovered, and so it's a super exciting time. And I'm just happy to I'm always just happy to be around people that are talking about it, around people that are educating about in the space, because I really truly believe that this is the future. Like we're not gonna be able to hide from it, Like you're gonna have to interact with it in some shape, form, or fashion, even if you might not see it initially in the first few years. Like you might not know that you're interacting with it, right? Like with the internet, a lot of people didn't know how they were interacting with it, but
Mhm.
there were companies that they're using it on their back end in order to bring you products and services. And so now we all interact with it in our pocket. So it's amazing, and I'm super excited just to have the conversation about what's next, like, and who knows, is because you at any given moment there's somebody out here right now learning this technology, and they're going to have an idea, and they're going to create a business, they're going to create a product, they're going to bring this space forward, and it is the way of the world, right? We go with the technology, so get ready to go with the technology.
Exactly, exactly. And I love a few things that you said, right? This technology, you don't need to understand the all the way down to the mechanics of it, right?
Hmm.
Um, just like the internet, no one right now can sit here and say, "Well, the internet is," da, 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 da,
Right.
and it's the same thing for this technology. But even with that, there's still some barriers that a lot of people have with it. And they assume that you need to be technically inclined in order to participate in the space. And I'm hoping by now, right, if everyone has been tuning in, they're realizing that you do not need to have that technical, deep understanding. So long as you have the surface level understanding, and you understand that this is the foundation of a lot of things that you're hearing now, it could definitely help you navigate through this space a little bit better, right? Um,
Absolutely. And
yeah.
I think it's crucial that we do take the knowledge, whatever little you can, right, and then begin to spread that to other people as well.
Mhm.
I think that because I've always been a person that, like, I've always believed, and I've known this, right? You don't know how much you know really until you start to talk and teach somebody else, right? So the more, if you, even if you know like a little bit about a little bit, right? The important part is that you know that you can start interacting with the technology yourself, you learn more, and then you share that knowledge with other people.
Mhm.
Because again, you never know who is waiting, who's going to be the next, like, like Steve Jobs or whatever the case may be, when it comes to this blockchain technology. And an even more exciting part about this for me is that there is so much opportunity out here. There's so much space for you or your loved ones or somebody you don't know to become that person. So why not you, right? And it's going to start with first your education on it. And
Mhm.
this entire event has been a blessing. I know, even to me, like, I'm interested in the technology now, right? But I'm learning more and more every single day, with the International Women in Blockchain event, and I can't wait to, like, take the information I know and go and share it with other people and point them in the direction of this technology, because it is revolutionary and we have to become part of it.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. Um, I've been telling my family member for a long time about it, and they know how I navigate through this space. They know that I'm a blockchain enthusiast. And by being an enthusiast, like, I'm enthusiastic about everything that's about the space, right? So they know that I'm coming from that standpoint, and we've gone through the different phases, right? From, "Oh, you're crazy," to, "Oh, tell us more," to, "Can I do that?"
Right, right.
And I've been saying this, nothing has changed, but I'm glad that more and more people are coming into the fold. And I think the reason why is because, the mainstream media is talking about it, like the narrative has shifted, right?
Hmm.
And so, there's a lot of today was supposed to be all about marketing. So there's a lot of good marketing that's out there now, about
Yeah.
this space. And, corporations are positively entering this space and participating. So, we have a lot of good things that are shifting the narrative, shifting the focus, and getting people really more excited. But then at the same time, we do have, like the market, fluctuations that's happening, right? That
Hmm.
people are waiting to jump on that and say, "You know what? I told you this whole space is crazy. It's a scam and all these things." But even then, like, we understand, give it time, right? Give it time.
Right.
People will change. They will come around.
Right.
Because
One of the best. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, no, no. Go ahead.
Stop for a little bit. But one of the best things that I learned within coming through the channel that I did with Black Bitcoin Billionaires, is a group on Clubhouse called Black Bitcoin Billionaires. And the way that they take the education in this space was truly, like, what I needed to know, and how I needed, and in how I needed to approach the space. And there's two things that they always talk about, which is FUD and FOMO, right? So we have this, and that's a key word, like when it comes to this space at all, right? So you have the first one is FUD. Oh, absolutely. The first one is FUD, right? So it stands for FUD, which is fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Okay. A lot of people stop not just getting into this space, but doing things in their lives because of their fear, their uncertainty, and their doubt, right? And that is due to internal as well as external components. Like, maybe you grew up in a family that, had your mind thinking that you can't be this person, you can't do that. And so you internalize that. Or maybe, you've seen like things happen to other people in this space. And so now you are hesitant and you're fearful of getting into it yourself, right? But then the second part comes to that is FOMO. So then there's other people that are just like, oh, I just got to get in and do something because I see it's cool and I just got to get in, right? And that also is an issue because once you just jump into something, you don't really know what's going on. You can be subject to another thing that I'm very, very passionate about, which is a lot of scammers that are in this space and not being protected and not knowing what you need to know in order to move in this space in a safe manner. So with those two things, the only thing that really combats those two things is education, right? Because the more you understand about it, the less fearful you are. I started out with Bitcoin dollar cost averaging $1 a month. Really, like I started out in last year. I was just like, I'm gonna put $1 in here and I'm gonna see what's up because I don't really know, right? Then the more my knowledge grew, and then understanding the blockchain, and like, wait. So you're telling me that the banks aren't going to be able to basically lend out the money in my account again over and over again and then cause another recession? Like, is that what you're telling me? Okay, this sounds awesome. And so the more you're able to understand, the less fear, uncertainty, and doubt you'll deal with. And then also me understanding that, okay, I see how NFTs work. I see now how there's differences in cryptocurrencies. I don't have a fear of missing out on some of this stuff because I've read their white papers or, I'm listening to what their projects are doing. And to me, it's not moving my soul. So I'm also not concerned anymore about missing out on something. I know that the things that I've invested in, both in my education and my time, are where my risk tolerance is, right? It matches my risk tolerance perfectly. So I am now here just like, tell me more, like let me hear more. I want to know more. I'm so interested. And teach me. Who can teach me something here and point me to different resources so I can continue to grow and learn this space. And it truly is for everybody.
It really is. No, you're right. You're right. I'm reading the comment section, and everyone is agreeing that education and shifting your mindset is very important. And that's what thing that you're gonna get from this space, that all the women in this space understand that education is important. We all understand that we've all been there, right? So
Right.
knowing about the space and what the intentions are and giving you the basic understanding is very important because we've all gone through that process where we analyze the space to death, right? For me personally, I was told to get into Bitcoin when it was still reasonably priced, right? I said no. I was like, no, I'm not going to get into it. And for various reasons, right? Because I was in the financial industry at the time, and here's this alternative currency, and it just didn't make sense to me. But I started reading and started researching, and I fell in love with the technology, right? And that was because I did my own research.
Right.
I educated myself, right? And so now, like, I think I'm one of the biggest enthusiasts of this technology out there. And I'm always about advocating for education.
Absolutely. I'm always about advocating for education too. Like it just doesn't make sense to me to do anything that you don't understand. That's just never been me. And I have to say, I've kind of been a nerd all my life. So if something I'm interested in, I'm gonna read a book. I'm gonna go find somebody that can tell me about it. Then I'm gonna read another book, to make sure what they told me wasn't some bull. And then I'm going to make that assessment for myself. And it is, you have to in this space because it's just becoming, and because there's so much growth and building happening right now. The onus is really on you to take your education in this space seriously so that you can protect yourself and that you can grow in whatever you choose to do with the space.
It is. It is. Awesome. Awesome. Now, one person said volatility is scary for me. We really need to learn what is an asset and what is a currency. All right.
Woo, that
Yeah.
is a big topic right there.
Right. So the thing is, what is a currency? Currencies are gives you the ability to use it to purchase something, right? To conduct
Right.
a transaction.
Right.
An asset can also be a currency, right? Because a lot of people use, and if we're talking about cryptocurrencies here, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin in particular, people are using it as assets, right? They're
Right.
building, they're accumulating it for the intended purpose of maybe possibly, creating wealth for themselves, right?
Right.
So assets are could be a combination of cryptocurrency, could be a combination of other information or data or digital data that you've accumulated in the space,
Mm-hmm.
and they have particular values to you, right? And they also have values attached to it based on the market and stuff.
Right.
So, when you're building your assets, the assets to me, I want to simplify as investment vehicles, right? When you're accumulating all of these investment vehicles, and I'm talking about NFTs, I'm talking about cryptocurrencies, and whatever else that you're creating here. It could be a metaverse, in the space. You're actually using it as a vehicle to create wealth, right? To invest in something. And then your currency allows you to purchase those things, right?
Right.
So they work in conjunction with each other, and also currencies could, because you're using currency to purchase a cryptocurrency as well.
Right. Right. So one of the things that to me, when it comes to the volatility in the space, and when you're talking about using a cryptocurrency as a currency, as a monetary value, one of the things that I like to remind people is that money in and of itself is a social agreement. Right. So if we agree that this piece of paper, these coins hold some type of power in order so that I can purchase something that I need, right? Or I want, whatever, right? So when you think of it that way, at its core, cryptocurrencies and other technologies that are built upon the blockchain are doing exactly that. They are a social agreement, right? NFTs, for instance, are a social agreement where somebody says, listen, I created this art and I believe that this is how much it's worth. And somebody says, listen, I agree with you. The agreement, here we go. Two people that we made the agreement, right? And I'm going to actually pay you in the currency that is now that we're accepting, and I'm going to pay you for that, right? And I might pay that because, like you said, it's an investment vehicle, and I believe that over time this is going to increase in value, and therefore I will get my purchasing power back, right? So, but with all things money related, right? Another thing that people don't think about is that even the fiat currencies that we have today, they also fluctuate, right? We don't see it. It doesn't make the headlines, but it does fluctuate. And in those fluctuations, you get exposed to things like taxes and inflation is another reason. Like if you think about it, inflation fluctuates the value of which your dollar holds, right? With every time inflation goes up, the dollar in your pocket actually goes down. Like, the amount of value, because you can't purchase as much milk or whatever else as you used to when inflation was lower. So if you think about it, that too is a fluctuation, right? So it's not any different than what we experienced before. The only thing is the difference, I think, now is that it's more talked about. I think it's the difference is that also that it hasn't become, as far as cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin in particular, just hasn't become the standard by which we measure things. Right now we measure things by the dollar, and that's it. Like that's it. But through more adaptation, and as more governments come on board, more people come on board, and this becomes a standard because people understand that it is an asset, right? As well as it's going to hold value. People want that in their pocket And so therefore it will become mass adoption, and you will see less volatility in the market when it comes to those things. So those are the two things I kind of like to remind people of, because they don't see it, they don't know about it. A lot of people don't even really know how the monetary system works. In order for them to, they just hear like volatility. Oh, now it's like 30,000. Oh no, now it's like 40,000, and they think they're missing out. When in fact, this is a growing industry. This is a way that you can hold some value, like, and choose whatever investment vehicle you choose. Right, you're trying to hold your purchasing power. You're trying to hold your value, and so those are two things that I would definitely want people to remember when they're watching the actual price volatility in certain markets, particularly Bitcoin.
Yeah, no, you're right. You broke that down so succinctly, and I appreciate that. And also, there is like, unlike the stock market where there's historical data, right? We
Mm-hmm.
have not gotten to that level with cryptocurrencies as of yet. So
Right.
if anyone is saying, based on past history, this is what's going to happen, they're all speculating.
Right.
I wouldn't trust what they're saying.
I'm saying it's definitely a red flag when it comes to, like, being careful in this space,
Exactly.
because it's new. Like, it's new in
Exactly.
adoption. Like, it hasn't, nobody knows what's really going to happen. But that for me is why, again, I lean on the technology and understanding the technology behind Bitcoin, which is blockchain, understanding the technology there and how that actually, because Bitcoin in particular is decentralized, like, right, it holds a lot of hard money, what's considered like hard money traits that other cryptocurrencies don't, and these types of things. And so for me, leaning on my understanding of the technology, again, cuts out that FUD, cuts out that FOMO when I'm approaching other investment vehicles. So it comes back to the education. It always comes back to the education.
Hey. I think that's going to be the running theme. Like, a lot of people are going to realize, oh man, I need to be educated. I need to do more. And when we say do your due diligence, right? Because that's
Mm-hmm.
something that we advocate for people to do in this space. We know that in our physical world, people are always trying to sell you on something, right? And
Right.
so
Always.
they're assuming that you're going to trust what they say, and they're going to reel you in. A lot of people, when they enter this space, they're automatically looking for that. They're looking for people to approach them that way. And really, what we're creating is a space where you have the self sovereignty, right? So now, when we say do your own research, we're saying, look, we can tell you all these things, but don't take our word for it.
Right.
Go ahead and verify. And that's very important.
That's
Um,
extremely important.
that's extreme.
Extremely important. I feel like anybody that's not telling you that in this space, you want to be very wary of them, because everybody that I've met in this space um that has been truly helpful and really wants to help people build the technology and is not literally not out here being a scammer or somebody that doesn't understand, they always say, do your own research, do your own research. And they always say, listen, I can tell you this, I'm gonna point you this direction, but do your research, because you have to know who you are in this space, because it is up to you. Everything from your security to those keys that you talked about the last segment, like, that goes in your house. You have to know where your keys are to your house, right? Nobody else is going to know where the keys are to your house. You have to know your address if you want to tell somebody else. Nobody else is going to know, right? But if you give those keys to somebody, you're going to get kicked out of your house. They're going to be in your house running through your stuff. They're going to take this stuff.
Here, there's no, entity or regulatory body that's going to come here and save the day. This is all
Not
about.
happening.
So if you lose your keys, unfortunately, you lose your keys.
Right.
That's why it's
if you don't take your protection seriously, if you leave it in the hands of somebody else, you're basically leaving your protection like at their will, like, And so it's up to you. I'm gonna throw this one question up. Somebody asked.
We got a question here. How do you do your own
Research though?
Right. I think that's a
great question.
That's a question that I love that question, because I know the person who's asking it they're definitely interested in jumping more into this space, and they want to have the basic knowledge for starting off on the right path. So this is a great question. For me, I'm coming from a security standpoint, right? Because I'm a cybersecurity professional. And I'm always thinking, okay, I need a series of items in order for me to trust. I need to confirm a series of things in order for me to trust, what I'm reading, right? Or hearing. So one thing I want to do is, can I trust the person that's providing me this information? Am I able to dox the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of
And
these.
what does DOC stand for those that might know? Go
So,
ahead.
thank you. Am I able to research and identify who these team members are? And then are these team members aligning with what they're trying to provide me? Now, mind you, Satoshi Nakamoto, he's not doxed. Nobody really knows who or she is, right? However, the thing is, he created this space so he can get away with it, right? Well, he
Right.
created Bitcoin, which spearheaded a lot of what we're doing, so he can get away with it. However, what he did was provide I believe it's 9 page. It's been
Yeah,
made
the transparency is what he provided.
white paper, his intention
Yeah.
of creating this. And he didn't care whether, Tom, Dick, or Harry, Susan, Megan, Erica, or Beyonce bought into it, right?
Right.
All he cared was the fact that he was sick and tired of the financial, industry and the things that happened around and up to 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Which maybe a lot of y'all were too young to know, but we had a serious financial crash
Right.
to the point where people lost money, people died, right?
People
We had
lost
institutions that went
everything.
under just because of bad, practices. And
Right.
so he was upset that stuff like that could happen without any consequences. Because prior to, there were consequences, but this time around, it was just a don't do that again, right? And now you're back to doing what you want. And here, we're going to give you money, right? Because a lot of them came with their hands out. Even after they destroyed everything, they still say, we need, your help. And so, and this was on a global scale, right? So it
Right.
wasn't
A global scale.
in the US, it was all over. So this really affected a lot of people. And during that time, 2008, Satoshi said, you know what, there's got to be an alternative to this. This is crazy. And,
Mm-hmm.
if you read his white paper, the intention was to create an alternative payment system, right?
Right.
And so with this alternative payment system, he laid it out in the white paper. It was thorough. To some people, it may be a little bit high level, but it was clearly there. A lot of people bought into it, and here we are. And so, based on that, people are trying to follow this certain roadmap that was created because of that. So there's a lot of white papers out there, but one thing that people need to do is, who are the team members? Can
Who
you
are
find
the team
them
members?
on the internet? Can you identify what who they are, like what they're tied to and who they are? If someone is trying to create another, DeFi platform, does this person have experience in that? Right?
Yes. Yes.
You want to make sure, because a lot of the times, if you do your due diligence and you realize that they don't know, they came from, or you can't even find them, right?
Right.
They're not people that you can trust, right? Especially not DeFi, right? Or people who are
Mm-hmm.
creating their own cryptocurrency. Like, a lot of people are creating stuff now. And not everyone wants to be fully out there because we're supposed to be in a space where we're supposed to have pseudo anonymity. But at the same time, there should be something that allows you to trace their history. You
Right.
um, Oftentimes they'll give you their social media platforms. Go into those. A lot of these projects, they're using Discord, they're using Telegram. Go into it. See how they're interacting with people. Is someone in that Discord or Telegram complaining?
Mm-hmm.
One thing that people will do is complain.
Right. They might not give you praises, but they always complain.
Signal. And then what are they doing to address that issue or that concern or that comment or, whatever comes up? Are they addressing it, or are they, ridiculing the person that's asking the question?
Right.
And then do they have like a mob mentality going on there, or are people actually genuinely, individually thinking about this project? I don't go by numbers, because numbers
Mm-hmm.
can be created, numbers can be bought,
Right. Right. There's somebody right now in their chat trying to get people to buy followers. So listen,
Hello,
listen, they're everywhere.
exactly. So, and the sad part is that's what a lot of people are doing, and that's what creates the FOMO and the FUD and all that stuff, because they're like, a lot of people think, okay, if I just follow these simple roadmap, then I can have, a crazy number of followers also. And then they don't realize that, all of that is a facade, right?
Right.
So, you really want to dig deep into the team, how they're interacting with the community. Because remember, they're supposed to be doing this for the
Community.
And if they're not if the interaction is not a good interaction, then guess what? Most likely they don't care about the community, and they only care about the money. You also want to track what they're saying, right? I've known of projects that, they were able to raise a certain amount of money, but then they're only disclosing a lesser value, and there's a disconnect there.
Mm-hmm.
I know a project, that, they say one thing but do the other. There are projects that out there that will initially come on as something else and then flip the script.
Right. Right. You gotta follow it.
You got to follow it. If a project came up yesterday and they have 100,000 followers today and they're releasing something tomorrow, come on, people.
Right. It's like one of those things, like it's a lot of this, honestly, is kind of the common sense, same things that we've told you about in other places in your life, right? If it sounds too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. Like it is. Like just say it is. Just say it is. It's too good to be true, right? So, I'm the first person that got onto this project, like, and they're dropping tomorrow on this song. It sounds really too good to be true. And I would definitely take a step back and see how it plays out personally.
Exactly. Right. Seriously. That's what people think. Because this whole FOMO and FUD, all these things gets people jumping into things that, deep inside is telling you don't do it.
Right. If there's a celebrity on it, like a super big celebrity, also I'm always like, because you're just getting paid to be here. You have no idea about what any of this actually means.
Yes.
So the common sense is gonna be your best friend. You couldn't tell me a DeFi right now to save your life. You couldn't tell me what that means right now to save your life. So
exactly.
Make it make sense is one of my favorite things. One of my favorite things to say, make it make sense. It doesn't make sense to me that you are an actor and you're trying to tell me about a new crypto coin and you haven't been in this space and nobody that's been in this space knows you besides as the actor that you are. So there's just a lot of things that you have to kind of take and just use your common sense and things that you apply in other places. Like, right, for instance, if you go to look up a white paper, right, and you can read the white paper pretty well, and you say that something in there, it didn't really make sense to me because they said this before, and then here, it probably doesn't make sense to somebody that really understands white papers either. So I would say, trust yourself and trust your intuition in the space as well. You got to get your intuition up, because I am one of the people that I read the Bitcoin white paper, right? I'm also one of those people that some of it went right over my head. I was like, okay, I have no idea what that means. There's math in here, and I don't math very well, but at the end of the reading of it, I still understood the general concepts. I might not have really understood the math and how they got there, but the simple fact that it was made transparent, right? And that it was put out there for anybody. And when I did the research, I understood that Satoshi Nakamoto, they or them or he or her, they went ahead and made it so where other people can contribute to this, and they made it transparent. That to me speaks to something on a personal level. My intuition level says, okay, this person doesn't have anything to hide. They weren't trying to hide anything when they created this. Not only were they not trying to hide anything, they weren't trying to necessarily benefit off of somebody else not knowing what's going on. They said, here's the information, guys. I'll try to solve this problem. Help me solve the problem. Right? Thinking of it even in that terms made me be like, okay, so now I can kind of take those same points and go to another white paper. And if I don't get that same feeling, I'm definitely looking at it with the side eye. Exactly. Like, so it's really, that's a good place, I think, to start your research. For me personally, I did start with the Bitcoin white paper because I came to blockchain technology through the Bitcoin white paper. And I hated hearing that. I really, honestly, I love people too that I kind of hated because at the time I was super busy and people, do your research, do your own research, do your own research. And I was like, how? Somebody, how? And so they actually recommended a few books to explain, like, Bitcoin, the Bitcoin Standard is one, the Little Bitcoin book. And in those books, it began to explain it also in other concepts that I could understand. So again, those same resources have given me good resources. And so now I know, okay, these people seem to be trusted. They had a way in which they disseminate information, right? They say, listen, in the clubhouse, they're like, listen, we're not going to come in your back channel because we don't have anything to offer. We don't have anything to sell you. Like, this isn't financial advice or anything. We're here to educate, right? Anybody that pushes education first is definitely, like, that's a plus one for me, right? If you're talking about educating myself, talking about educating other people, that's a plus one. And like you said, then looking at their effect on the community, right? Whatever community that you resonate with, it should be, I mean, I'm talking like, the global world community personally, but whichever, even if maybe yours is a little more niche than that, and if they resonate within that community, then okay, this might be a voice that you want to listen to. So that's kind of like, where I can say, like, I don't know all there is to know, but I do know how to discern and figure out a little bit of something that'll make me either say, yes, this is something I want to do, or no, I want to go ahead and try something different. So trust yourself, and yes, listen, community, and listen to people that talk about education.
I definitely agree. And you know what? Build on the fact that we're of this space, right? This space is all about transparency. Are they transparent? Seriously,
that's like 101.
Are they transparent?
Right, that's 101.
It is number one, right? Can you, even if you don't understand their white paper, are you able to jump into their Discord and ask the question? Are they answering that question? Are they giving you community time? Because you are a community, right? You're part of the community. So they should give you the time and resources to address your question, right? They shouldn't ignore people and only, focus on certain people, because you want to trust your instinct. If they are allocating a certain amount of money back to themselves, then guess what? Yeah, so you just have to trust your instinct, and not everything that we're saying is foolproof, right? There's going to be some things that probably check all the boxes and still ends up being scammed, because guess what? We're dealing with humans. And guess what? This technology was created because we live in a trustless society.
Right.
We're not relying 100% on technology sometimes. We're relying on the human factor. And humans can be finicky, right?
Yes.
One minute they have good intentions. Next minute it's like, oh my God, all this money, let's go, right?
Right.
It happen. But unfortunately, that is the space. I'm going to encourage everyone to join us in Discord. Let's continue the conversation. I think this has been wonderful. I really appreciate all of you that join us in the chat. Y'all chimed in. Y'all were hyping us up.
Right.
Thank you very much. I want you all to join us tomorrow for Self-Care Sunday. Okay. I'm really excited about this because, our committee members have been going through some stuff. We've been sleeping late, waking up early, trying to get this thing together. And we're very happy to have all of y'all joining us each day. participating in this, but we also think that mental health is very important, especially when we're navigating through this and we're trying to, recenter ourselves and realign ourselves with our intended purpose. Um, it's important to be mentally and physically prepared to be in this space. I know when I first started, I was trying to stay up all night, trying to interact with people all over the world. Certain time zones are like 12 hours difference. And, when Asia Pacific is up, I'm trying to be up so I can tap into what they're doing, and all these things. So yeah, we lose track of sleep, we stop eating and all these things, and it's time for us to recenter, get our mental health in order. And I have Dr. Lamney, who's all about, doing that. She's a certified, she's a doctor, so she's certified in what she does, and she's going to get us refocused. And she's also an NFT artist as well, so she knows this space. She's not an outsider coming in. She's a person that's in this space, so she might be able to talk about some things in alignment with that. But really, right now, it's all about self-care. I want everyone to tune in, join us, and get ready to, mentally relax, which is very important given what's going on in this world. Our support goes out to any human that's being affected by the craziness that's going on right now. It's important that we understand that everyone matters in this world, and it really shouldn't be about color, race, gender, etc. It should be about the fact that we are all humans. There's are intended reasons why we're all here. We are not here to say that one is better than the other, but we all should be inclusively working towards having a better life. And hopefully we can do that with this technology. We can do that with the metaverse that we're creating. And that will be a reality for us going forward. I want everyone to chime in, jump in tomorrow. We will start at 10 o'clock again on weekends. It's going to be 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want all of y'all to jump into our Discord. Let's continue the conversation. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Tam.
Really absolutely. Thank you, Yinka.
Really appreciate it. Tam was my event production this weekend. I really appreciate her. I appreciate all the committee members, Nicole, Natasha, Lavina, Corey, Rebecca. I'm probably going to forget everybody. So I apologize for that. Nija, we're going to have Nija, Mind Your Money Monday. It's going to be her first Monday. So she's going to come to us, talk about cryptocurrencies. We're going to have NFTs, non-fungible Tuesdays again, Worldwide Wednesdays, Table Talk Thursdays, and then we're going to have Futuristic Friday again. That was a fantastic Futuristic Friday. So if y'all miss it, watch out for that replay. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful Saturday. Enjoy, relax. It's starting to get nice outside for some of us on the East Coast. So enjoy yourself and take care. And see you all tomorrow for Self-Care Sunday. Bye, everyone.